Hi, Steve. Last year, you wrote with Solange Valdez-Symonds the article Reasserting Rights to British Citizenship Through Registration. This included a fascinating summary of the rationale behind the main provisions of acquisition of citizenship under the British Nationality Act 1981. What inspired you to write the article then?
Well, the most immediate inspiration was Solange and I spent hours in the British Library reading through the parliamentary record of the debates in 1981 when that act was created. And of course, when you do that, you see just what a seminal moment this was. This is our British citizenship literally being created. It didn't exist before then. And what comes through very strongly in the parliamentary debates is the purpose. This is supposed to be a unifying purpose, bringing everybody connected to the UK together as one group, British citizens. And so taking that away and remembering that for myself, and I'm sure for many other British citizens, we don't think about these things. We never have to. We're not challenged about them. So the importance of them to us, their integral nature to our very presence and belonging in this country never arises. And then realizing, working with many children and others indeed, who are as connected to this place as all British citizens, but have these barriers because registration requires them first to be aware of their rights and then to be able to exercise them. And seeing the exclusion and alienation that results from that is a hugely powerful, and indeed in many instances, heartbreaking thing to see.
I was very interested to read in your article that Section 1(4) registrations are now more common because parents take such a long time to obtain citizenship themselves compared to, say, 10 years ago. While in law, there's plenty of provision in the 1981 Act for children to register, in practice, of course, they are very vulnerable. And indeed, they may lose the ability to register if they don't make an application before they turn 18. This vulnerability has been emphasised by the PRCBC case on fees. Fees aside, though, what area do you see as most meriting urgent change for children?
Well, I think the real priority actually is just understanding the importance of seeing children in their own right with their own citizenship rights and focusing very specifically on those. Everything flows from that. And it's noticeable how failing to do that doesn't just alienate and exclude the child immediately in front of you. Potentially it has further generational impacts. Because as you say, the older a child gets without their rights being registered, in some instances, they may lose those rights in law. In others, they don't lose them, strictly speaking. But putting together the evidence to be able to establish the right becomes more and more remote. So they may lose them in practice. And then they have children. And lo and behold, in many instances, their children aren't born with citizenship and grow up in exactly the same position as their parent. And indeed, as sometimes you can see, their children's children can be affected too. So it's really a focus on understanding the nature of the child's position, each child's position, and their right, and the importance of recognizing that.
And then at the end of your article, you say that lawyers and others need to revisit the intention behind the 1981 Nationality Act. What area would be the first one that you would want to address?
Well, I think the priority in all of this is awareness, both on the parts of whether it's lawyers, courts, the Home Office, but also, of course, on the public and the parents and the carers and the children themselves. Because it's all very well having rights. If you don't understand what those rights are, or even the need to exercise them, then whether they are easily accessible or not, and as it happens, they're not, doesn't really much matter. People still, or many people still don't really know that jus soli, the idea that simply being born on the territory of the UK doesn't of itself make you a British citizen. So lots of people grow up thinking they're British, and they've every right to think so because Parliament intended they should be in that position too. But they have to do this thing of registration. And I think in terms of the many, many barriers, and there are several, and we touch on those in the article, probably the one you've already mentioned is the immediate priority. It's the fee. It's staggering that people who are British, who are intended to be able to register their citizenship so they are connected like everyone else, so the unifying purpose is secured of this act, that should be torn apart effectively by a demand from the Home Office responsible for registration of over £1,000 for some British people simply to have their right recognised, when the rest of us, like me of course, don't even have to think about it. I think that's a scandal.
Thank you very much.